Have you ever been locked inside a hospice room while holding your dying sister's hand? Because I have. The monitors were humming softly. That steady, mechanical rhythm that almost tricks you into believing everything is stable. Controlled. Manageable. My sister Rachel, 31 years old, lay in the narrow hospice bed at St. Mary's Medical Center, her fingers curled weakly around mine. Stage 4 ovarian cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to hospice. That's all it took. I'm Emily Carter. I'm 34. And Rachel is my only sibling. Our parents died in a car accident 3 years ago, so when the doctor said end-of-life care, it wasn't a family discussion. It was just me. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The room smelled like antiseptic and lavender oil from the diffuser I brought in. The lights were dimmed. The blinds half closed. I was whispering memories to her. Stupid childhood stories about how she used to steal my sweaters and pretend they were hers. Then the nurse stepped back in. Linda Morales. Mid-40s. Calm. Efficient. The kind of nurse you instantly trust. She stopped. Just stopped. Her eyes went from Rachel's foreline to my face. Then down to the file in her hand. She opened it again, slower this time. Her expression shifted, not panic, not confusion. Something colder. Controlled. She closed the file without a word. Wait here, she said. Wait here? Before I could even process that, she walked out. And the door clicked shut behind her. Locked. Hospice doors aren't supposed to lock from the outside. Not like that. I stood up immediately. My heart started pounding in my ears. Rachel stirred slightly but didn't wake. I tried the handle. It didn't budge. Why would they lock me in? Why would they separate me from my own sister during her final days? 3 minutes later, I would find out the answer. According to the hospital system, I wasn't her family. I was listed as unauthorized. And the worst part? Someone else was listed as her husband. But what came next would make that word feel like the least of my problems. What if the first lie wasn't the lock, but the file? 3 minutes after that door clicked shut, it opened again. But Linda wasn't alone. Behind her stood a tall security guard, early 50s, gray at the temples, name badge read Tom Reeves. And beside him was a woman in a navy blazer holding a tablet to her chest like it was evidence in a trial. Ms. Carter? The woman asked. My throat was dry. Yes. I'm Janet Liu. Hospice Care Coordinator. That title sounded official. Final. She didn't step fully into the room. She stayed near the doorway. Like I was the problem. There seems to be a discrepancy, she said carefully. A discrepancy? I glanced at Rachel. She was still asleep. Still fragile. Still mine. Janet turned the tablet toward me. And that's when I saw it. Visitor status, unauthorized. Primary contact, Michael Turner, 38, spouse. Spouse. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like the floor tilted. Rachel wasn't married. She had never been married. Our parents were gone. I handled everything. Every chemo appointment. Every insurance call. I signed the hospice intake forms 2 days ago. I was listed as medical proxy. I watched them type my name into the system. So how does a husband just appear? Who entered this? I asked. Janet glanced at Linda. The file was updated at 2:17 p.m. today. That was 40 minutes ago. 40 minutes. By who? I pressed. She hesitated. Documentation was submitted digitally. Marriage certificate and power of attorney. Power of attorney. My pulse started pounding in my ears. Rachel dated a Michael once. 5 years ago. Controlling. Jealous. He tracked her location. Showed up at her job unannounced. She ended it abruptly and refused to talk about him after. Could it be the same Michael? No. It couldn't. Right? Janet continued, voice even. Until this is resolved, we have to follow the most recent legal documentation on file. Tom shifted his weight slightly. Not aggressive. But present. Where is he? I asked. Janet's eyes met mine. He's on his way. On his way. To my sister's deathbed. But here's the part that didn't make sense, and this is where you need to pay attention. The system showed the marriage certificate was filed 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Rachel had been unconscious in the ER that entire afternoon. So tell me, how does someone sign a marriage certificate while hooked to oxygen? And why did no one question it until now? Because what walked down that hallway 10 minutes later wasn't just an ex-boyfriend. It was something far worse. Have you ever seen someone walk into a room like they already own it? That's how Michael Turner entered the hospice wing. Tall. Pressed navy suit. Clean shave. Calm. Too calm. 38 years old and carrying himself like a grieving husband instead of a man who hadn't been in my sister's life for 5 years. I knew it was him before Janet even said his name. Some faces don't fade. Especially the ones that leave damage behind. He didn't look surprised to see me. He looked inconvenienced. Emily, he said smoothly, like we were at a dinner party instead of a hospice floor. You shouldn't be here. Shouldn't be here? I almost laughed. The audacity of it felt unreal. Janet stepped forward. Mr. Turner has provided legal documentation confirming he is Rachel's spouse and medical power of attorney. Spouse. He handed over a folder. Inside, a marriage certificate dated 6 months ago. A notarized power of attorney. An updated will naming him sole beneficiary. Everything looked official. Sealed. Stamped. Do you know how convincing forged paperwork can look? Especially when you want to believe there's been some mistake? I stared at the date again. 6 months ago. That was right after Rachel got her diagnosis. She didn't tell me, I whispered. Michael tilted his head slightly. Maybe she didn't want to. There it was. The old tactic. Divide. Isolate. Undermine. Rachel had dated him at 26. It started charming. Flowers. Surprise trips. Big promises. Then came the monitoring. The accusations. The quiet control over her bank account to help her budget. She left him suddenly and refused to explain the full story. One night she told me, if anything ever happens to me, don't let him near me. Those words came back like a slap. You're lying, I said. Michael's smile didn't reach his eyes. Everything is legal. You can verify it. Janet confirmed the documents had been uploaded through the hospital's secure portal. Verified by a notary. Verified. Rachel had seemed distant during early chemo. She'd mentioned handling paperwork. Was that real? Or was she scared? Or medicated? Michael turned to Tom, the security guard. I'd like privacy with my wife. Wife. Tom stepped closer to me gently. Not forceful. But firm. And then, from the bed, a faint sound. Rachel's eyelids fluttered. Her lips barely moved. Don't. Just one word. Don't. Not Michael. Not husband. Don't. Tell me something. If you're married to someone, wouldn't they say your name? The room went silent. And that's when Nurse Linda did something no one expected. What if the smallest detail is the one that saves everything? The room was frozen after Rachel whispered that single word. Don't. Michael stiffened beside me. Just slightly. But I saw it. That micro-expression people can't fully hide. Tom looked uncertain now. Janet glanced between all of us, clearly recalculating. And then Linda stepped forward. Quiet. Controlled. Observant. I'd like to review the original hospice consent forms again, she said calmly. Michael exhaled sharply. We've already established I'm her legal decision-maker. Linda didn't look at him. I just need to confirm something. There was something different in her tone now. Not emotional. Not reactive. Clinical. She pulled up Rachel's original intake documents from 2 days ago, the ones I had watched her sign before sedation. Rachel and Carter. That's how my sister always signed her name. With her middle name. And spelled out. She'd done it since high school. Said it made her feel formal. Linda zoomed in on the digital marriage certificate. Rachel A. Carter. Just an initial. It seems small, right? Insignificant. But when you've watched someone sign birthday cards for 30 years, you notice patterns. She never abbreviates her middle name, I said quietly. Michael's jaw tightened. People shorten signatures all the time. True. But here's what wasn't true. The timestamp on the marriage certificate showed it was filed at 3:42 p.m. the same day Rachel was admitted through the ER. At 3:42 p.m., she was intubated. Unconscious. Sedated. Linda's fingers moved quickly across the tablet. I'm escalating this to hospital legal. Michael's composure cracked for the first time. This is ridiculous. Is it? Hospital legal confirmed something within minutes that changed the temperature of the room. The IP address used to upload the marriage certificate wasn't local. It came from out of state. Rachel had not left the hospital in 10 days. Michael's breathing grew heavier. Subtle. But visible. Forgery is one thing. Forgery during end-of-life admission? That's criminal. Tom shifted his stance, no longer neutral. Now positioned slightly closer to Michael than to me. You can't prove I falsified anything, Michael snapped. Linda's reply was almost gentle. Digital footprints are very precise. Police were called. But before anyone could move him, before handcuffs or accusations. Rachel's eyes opened again. Clearer this time. And what she said next didn't just expose him. It exposed something none of us saw coming. What do you do when someone steals a life that isn't theirs? Rachel's eyes were clearer than they had been all day. Weak. Fading. But aware. Michael froze. The entire room felt suspended in that fragile, humming hospice silence. Even the oxygen machine seemed louder. Rachel turned her head slightly toward me. Her fingers tightened around mine with surprising strength. I never married him, she whispered. Not confused. Not drugged. Certain. Janet immediately leaned in. Rachel, can you confirm that? Did you ever sign a marriage certificate with Michael Turner? Rachel swallowed. It looked painful. No. One word. Solid. Final. Michael stepped forward. She's medicated. She doesn't know what she's saying. But here's the thing about clarity at the end of life, sometimes it cuts through everything. Linda was already recording. Hospice protocol. Verbal confirmation from a conscious patient overrides contested documentation pending investigation. Police arrived within minutes. Calm. Professional. They asked Michael to step into the hallway. He resisted verbally, not physically. Kept insisting this was a misunderstanding. That Rachel had wanted privacy. That she didn't want family involved. Family involved. I was standing right there. Hospital legal confirmed the notary ID attached to the marriage certificate belonged to a suspended license in another state. The digital seal was real, but copied from a public database. It was meticulous. Calculated. Predatory. Michael wasn't trying to be her husband. He was trying to become her widower. Her updated will named him sole beneficiary of her life insurance policy and remaining savings, just over $420,000. Enough to make someone bold. Enough to make someone desperate. He was escorted out in handcuffs. Quietly. No dramatic shouting. Just the heavy sound of consequences in a sterile hallway. 2 days later, Rachel passed peacefully. No locked doors. No unauthorized labels. Just me holding her hand. And I keep thinking about that word. Unauthorized. I almost lost my sister twice. Once to cancer. And once to paperwork. So let me ask you something. Do you know who has access to your loved one's documents? Do you know who could walk into a hospital tomorrow claiming authority? We think love is enough. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it takes vigilance. Copies. Witnesses. Questions. If this story made your stomach drop even once, check the paperwork. Have the hard conversations. Protect the people you love while they can still speak. Because sometimes the most dangerous word in a hospital isn't terminal. It's unauthorized.